Hello, everyone. I'm Kimberly Guilfoyle, and this is The Five. We begin today with fast-breaking developments in the aftermath of ousted FBI Director James Comey's bombshell testimony on Capitol Hill. Speaking publicly for the first time since President Trump fired him on May 9th, Comey claimed to the Senate Intelligence Committee that President Trump lied about the reason for his firing and also revealed some remarkable new information about the Hillary Clinton email investigation. But perhaps the most stunning news is that Mr. Comey admitted that he initiated a leak of one of his memos about a conversation he had with President Trump.
The president tweeted on Friday, after I got fired, that I better hope there's not tapes. I woke up in the middle of the night on Monday night, because it didn't dawn on me originally, that there might be corroboration for our conversation. There might be a tape. And my judgment was I needed to get that out into the public square. And so I asked a friend of mine to share the content of the memo with a reporter. Didn't do it myself for a variety of reasons, but I asked him to because I thought that might prompt the appointment of a special counsel.
Okay, when in doubt, call a friend, Dana Perino.
Well, I think that one of the things that he did today was he solved one of the leak investigations, so we can cross that one off the list, because he was just open about it. He's like, yeah, this is what I did.
Pin the tail on the Comey.
And I think that if you were...
Nicely done.
If you put yourself in his shoes and you know what's coming, and that I think that because it was not a classified document, it was his own notes, and he got his story out there first. I mean, I think any one of us, if we'd had the president's in mind in order to protect ourselves, we might have done the same thing.
All right, Greg, what did you make of this? Any surprises for you? And
actually, I think that is a surprise.
Yeah.
You know, they want the media and the left. They wanted Watergate. They got a water balloon because everything we found out about Trump, we already know he's a Queens roughneck who sells real estate. This is what he does. We elected a bull in a china shop. What a hearing is everybody sweeping up the broken china. But this is what you get. He didn't break any laws. I'm getting a little tired of Comey's homey, folksy persona. It's, you know, it's like he's from Yonkers, okay? He keeps morphing into Comey Pyle. You know, it's like, he keeps saying Lordy. He's like a pearl-clutching senior who's upset about the short skirts on the Five. You know, it's just, I just find it a bit little, I find it a little strange. And I don't know. And I actually have to say, he didn't do himself a lot of good. He admitted he's a leaker, and that hurts his credibility, and it should.
all right, and for the record, this is a dress, not a skirt. All right, Chris,
I was channeling my mother when she used to call. She goes, "Can't they wear longer skirts?"
we're trying. All right, so
Lordy.
Chris, welcome to The Five
It's
tonight.
great to be here. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you guys.
Hardworking today, was listening with rapt attention to your discussion.
Dana and I started out the day cracking walnuts on this thing. And
There were not even walnuts. There was no snacks. You got to work on that next
well,
time.
we don't get the deli tray that you guys get here down in Washington. We buy it out of the vending
Yes, we're big time.
So today was important. It couldn't have lived up to the hype, possibly, that it had been wreathed in, that it was going to be this apocalypse, as Greg said, it was going to be the Watergate hearings, it was going to be all this stuff. We forget, when we compress history, when we look back and we think, well, it was ABC, boom, and then Nixon resigned, or it was ABC and Bill Clinton was impeached. In reality, this stuff plays out over long stretches of time. Today was a very important day. James Comey acquitted himself well. There were bad things in it for the president, but there were good things in it for the president. And the good thing in it for the president was this. Comey was absolutely clear that Donald Trump was right, that Comey had told him that he was, as of Comey's departure, not the subject, personally, of a criminal investigation.
So that vindicated the president. It's consistent with the president's statements when he said it on 3 separate occasions.
Put it in the letter.
And then with his attorney's statement yesterday, that has to be construed, I think, as, you know, a win for the White House in terms of removing itself somewhat from that cloud.
Absolutely. It's some much-needed credibility for the president on that question. That was a weird thing that he inserted in the letter, that when he put it in the Comey firing letter, why did you say that? Well, here's why he said it, because it was true, and that's why I put it in there.
Okay, Richard, how did you see it today? Were you disappointed in any way?
No, well, here's the thing. I think there was a lot of, build up to this big Comey hearing hashtag. I know Greg hates when I say that. But here's the things that I think we did learn, right? So we learned the president wasn't under investigation. But if you look at all the statements released by both his $1,500 an hour criminal attorney, or what the statement that we got from the White House is that, he wasn't There was no present tense here. So that could mean a lot of things. It could mean that he's currently under. It could that they're predicting that he could be under. And I mean, I think there's 3 instances that you could point to where there could be a possibility
so could all
of an
us,
obstruction
though. I mean,
of justice.
that kind of speculation doesn't really...
No, of course. I mean, it's absolute speculation, right? But I think here's where I think this is why it was a good day for Comey and a good day for the FBI. And that is because he got a chance to sort of clear the air, say why he did what he did and why he did it, why he leaked the information, because he thought he sort of created some breadcrumbs for Mueller to follow as they do their Mueller to follow while they do their investigation. So he's like, I leaked this thing, even though it wasn't classified. It was my own work product, and I leaked it to sort of say, hey, listen, there's a bigger flag here. And I think why it was bad for the White House was the moment where he talks about the meeting with him and the president, right, where his superior was asked to leave the room, and his superior lingered. And Jeff Sessions was like, I don't know. I mean, that's like the double thinking, and the president's like, get out, get out, get out, get out, get out. So it could just be me and Comey, and we can have this conversation, and that is problematic.
But no, here's why it's problematic, okay?
To do it, though.
He didn't obstruct justice. He just made Comey feel weird inside. I feel so queasy inside. Look, a lot of people make me feel uncomfortable. I take the subway every day. They can't be arrested for making me uncomfortable. This is like a Rorschach test. You can see whatever you want in this.
Yeah.
If you don't like Trump, you see him as a nefarious demon. If you love him, you think of him as an innocent victim. If you're in the middle, you see a guy, Comey, who got fired by a guy who fires people when he thinks he can't trust you. That's as simple as that.
But trust you to do what?
That
was what the crux of the hearing was.
It's clear that you can't trust Comey because the only person he wanted to take notes on was Trump.
I mean, here's the...
Chris has a comment, too. Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say was how impressed I was today with Comey, but also with the Senate. I was impressed at a time when people in America wonder, do systems work? Yeah. Can things function? Can we do this? Or does it all devolve into partisan garbage every time? Does it turn into just an absolute disaster every time we try to do something? Everybody in that room acted like an adult. Everybody asked good questions. People took their obligations seriously. They rose to the moment. I think we need more of this for the country to show people at home it still works. The Republic is
Kamala
still
Harris
here.
in that?
I thought she did just fine.
None of her questions could be answered.
Well, John McCain did not have
a strategy.
I know.
John McCain did not have a super day, but as he said, he stayed up too late watching the Diamondbacks game.
He was making a subtle point.
I agree with Chris on this point. I think what we saw was actual bipartisanship, something that's been absent from Washington for almost a decade.
They were well prepared.
They were well prepared. They had a good conversation with Comey. I think Comey was a very excellent witness. He had no notes. He spoke from the heart. He went into detail and explained a lot of the situations, and I think to some extent he benefited the White House in certain places when he sort of explained how things happened, but he also benefited, you know, people who are out there saying that we think that Donald Trump colluded with the Russians.
I saw such a different hearing than you guys. I'm sorry. I saw an emotional salvo. His opening statement, he was the good cop who had been done wrong. It was like an Aaron Sorkin drama.
But what happened to a good cop?
Emotions. No, but it was emotional. He felt pain. He felt hurt. He was a wounded man.
That was his biggest complaint.
Yeah, he was like a guy who was dumped.
He got fired for pretty much.
He can get fired.
But
he can get fired.
The
president can't fire him.
I get all of that, but the FBI, the reason why the FBI is created the way it is, where they have a 10-year term, is because it's supposed to be outside of the political forum.
And apparently he wasn't.
What happened here was, if Donald Trump really hated Comey so much, he should have fired him on January 21st. The fact that he waited so long to fire him.
For that.
No, I don't think so. I think it would have been less criticism.
It would have been, at least that he would have fired him before he had a private meeting with him.
Thank you.
And
maybe he was being nice. Maybe he was giving him a chance.
Maybe he was giving him a chance, yeah.
But whenever you get a new boss,
well, Comey said he told me, oh, you were doing a good job.
Every time I get a new boss, I get fired.
Practically speaking, it could...
Stand by for that.
Practically speaking.
3 times.
Can I just say one thing about the hearing as well? I know we want to go to this other thing. The other thing that happened today was that the members of the Senate committee, Republican and Democrat, all agreed that, yes, the Russians were trying to interfere, and they tried a lot of things. And then they also all agreed, and that you heard James Comey said, and it wasn't an emotional moment, it was just clear as day. He said, yes, the Russians were trying to do all of these things. We all should know that. We should all be really aware of that. No, at this point, they do not have any evidence. They did not actually alter or change one vote.
No, absolutely.
That was really important. So I think that there are some good things from the bigger picture that we know. We should really be aware that Russia is not our friend.
But yeah, I think that was made abundantly clear. And as you mentioned earlier, Mr. Comey accused the White House of lying about his firing.
Although the law required no reason at all to fire an FBI director, The administration then chose to defame me and, more importantly, the FBI by saying that the organization was in disarray, that it was poorly led, that the workforce had lost confidence in its leader. Those were lies, plain and simple.
And Comey confirmed that President Trump was never personally under FBI investigation, as we discussed, a fact that President Trump's attorney called vindicating.
While you were director, the President of the United States was not under investigation. Is that a fair statement?
That's correct.
The President feels completely vindicated and is eager to continue moving forward with his agenda, with the business of this country, and with this public cloud removed.
Okay, and so that was the pressure everyone was waiting for today, Dana, after this concluded, to say, okay, what would President Trump's personal attorney come out and say? Overall, it seemed like this was a good day for them, and if you're counsel for the president...
I think they did their best spin, right? And yeah, and I also think that the other thing they showed is that the president went to his event with the religious leaders. He gave a speech that was just roundly praised by everybody in the room. He also, this week, he announced a whole slate of judges to be confirmed. The Senate has actually said that they'll probably get those done before the August recess. You have the Senate moving forward on the health care repeal and replace bill. And you know that the debt ceiling is coming. There's already discussions about that. Iran sanction bills are... So actually, policy is able to move forward at the same time. So I think that the White House, they're not out of the woods by any means on this issue. This was basically like putting another log on the fire. There's lots of inconsistencies. The Democrats are going to press. And the president didn't comment today. We might hear he hasn't commented yet. I think that was also a different strategy. But I also just go back to what James Comey was talking about the FBI is one of the reasons that this backfired politically for President Trump, because they thought that the Democrats would be thrilled because they don't like James Comey either for what they think he did to Hillary Clinton. And they believed that the FBI didn't like him. Now, maybe there were a few disgruntled employees, but the truth is James Comey is actually widely respected all across the country. He's known U.S. attorneys for years. He was the U.S. attorney here in New York. He was down there in Virginia. He worked at the Justice Department. He's been at the FBI for 8 years. So he's got allies all over the place, and that's why there was the revolt, and he felt some obligation to say something about the institution.
No tweets.
No tweets.
No tweets.
So he stayed on
and if this is, and I really believe this is a moment of opportunity for this administration in a way that we haven't seen before, because if they take to heart the seriousness, the gravity of this issue, how high the stakes are for them, and they get serious, if the president doesn't tweet rage, if we don't have incoherent statements, if they speak with one voice, and as Dana said, crucially, most importantly, his voters need to feel, not just his voters, the whole country needs to feel like there's an agenda, it's moving, something's happening,
and
we're getting action, we're doing stuff.
Yeah, Dana pointed out he was quite busy this week getting a number of things done, and in fact, this went and was handled very well. Comey gave his testimony, which again was consistent with what the president said. I mean, he kept saying over and over, he told me I was not under investigation 3 times, and then this was confirmed today. It was confirmed in the statement yesterday. If I'm the president's attorney, I'm very happy because I didn't hear anything about obstruction of justice or collusion. I had my client's testimony and statements essentially validated. Prior consistent statements, so that's a credibility push right there.
But you would also tell your client, I know, because I'm...
Well, that James Comey gets queasy and wants to blend into the curtains and is terrified.
You would also tell your client, you would say, listen to me, I'm going to go out and say this was a great day for us. We killed it. I'm going to have this great press conference. But you better know that you could be in big trouble on this, and you better straighten up, fly right, and be tight. Keep that collar up and stay off the Twitters.
I agree there, but I disagree with how this White House handled it. I thought this White House was completely flat-footed today. You had one statement from this lawyer. You had no cabinet secretaries, no White House counsel.
That's exactly what I would have done.
You didn't even have GOP senators who were with the president come out and say, this is malarkey. All you had was a well-paid New York attorney come out and throw the kitchen sink.
But doing his job.
And he threw the kitchen sink as to poke holes in Comey's testimony. But within the statement,
too many chefs spoil the soup.
You don't want more people around.
Why would you want everybody muddying the message and being inconsistent? It's a problem.
Last week, we had the same conversation about the Street Fighters and the Lanny Davis model, and I would have hoped the president kept it. I think today was a bad move by him.
Well, he had his people out today on the air. Right. If you have one
disagree.
person who's consistent on their messaging, no, you don't want people giving inconsistent statements, and then everyone would sit here and criticize and say, why do you have so many people on a good day for the president? They're stepping all over themselves, and this person said this, let's analyze.
I got to go back. It's not a good day for Comey. Come on. Rubio made a really good point about the only bad things the only things that are leaked are generally bad things, and there was that one important point that was never leaked, that he wasn't being investigated. So that shows a partisan agenda that's involved in the leaking itself. And then saying that the leaking was in response to a tweet, that's kind of dishonest in itself. And it's not a legitimate response to a tweet because a tweet is transparent. When you tweet something, your name's behind it. When you leak something, your name's not behind it. So that's cowardice.
And we found out who leaked today.
Yeah.
The head of the FBI. I mean,
It's not a leak. It wasn't classified. It was his work product.
I totally disagree with that. It's not his own personal work product.
It is his work product.
No, it is not. He is the director of the FBI.
He wrote the memo.
If I can, for 1 second, please. He is the director of the FBI. He prepared those statements, okay, and that memo contemporaneous with his experience with the president, with his conversation to memorialize it. In a court of law, that's called work product because he did that, and the conversation was part of his job, government paid as the head of the FBI. So therefore, guess what? If I'm going to court, I'm getting all of that. That's work product. That's discovery. So when he says that he's sending this to his buddy, the professor at Columbia, trust me.
And you can't trust a Columbia professor.